fly with me, I'm reaching for the galaxy. Come fly with me.
About me, I'm going to tell you why you're listening to me, and hopefully you'll get a couple of good things out of it. So I grew up in New York, grew up in Manhattan on 95th and Columbus, went to school. I went to Boston University, and I went to grad school for fashion photography. I learned how to take pictures, and I found out that as a guy who used to be really fat, I learned that if you carry a camera with you and you're really fat, women think you're a lot less threatening. It's a great way to meet women. So I used to carry my camera around, take pictures all the time. And when I was in grad school, I had about 18 credits to go to get my degree. And the government sent me a letter that said, we're taking away your financial aid because your parents make too much money. My parents are teachers. They didn't make a lot of money. But the government, for some reason, thought they made too much money. They sent me a letter, we're taking away your money because your parents make too much money. So I sent the government a letter back. I said, dear government. That's what I said. No, honestly, I read. Dear government, my parents do make too much money, but they keep it. The government didn't find that funny. And with 18 credits to go in my graduate degree, I got in my car, drove back across the country, back to New York. I was hanging out in a chat room, and this is like, so you guys are what, like 15, 16, 17, something like that? 14. 14? Damn, you all look old. All right. So 14, so what are we in, 2011, so 90, so that'd be what? That'd be 2001, God damn, okay. So I was hanging out in the chat room before you were born, and it was on America Online. Remember AOL? Yeah. Back when AOL, you guys didn't know this, but it used to dial up. I remember. You used to have something called a modem. You can look that up. So I was dialing up, and I was hanging out in the chat room, right? And everyone was getting crazy in the chat room, talking about like, trying to pick everyone up, and how old are you, what's your, you male, female, and I never did any of that. And the more I was hanging out in the chat room, someone said to me, hey, you know what, you seem really smart. I saw that you have a journalism degree from Boston University. My company's trying to start a newsroom. Why don't you send me your resume? I said, okay, I have no idea what company you work for, but what the hell, I need a job. So I sent a resume. And 2 weeks later, I was being moved down to Virginia to become one of the starting editors of America Online. That person in that chat room worked for AOL, and they were trying to build a newsroom. And it had never been done before. And with no experience whatsoever, but because I wasn't one of those idiots in the chat room screwing around, I got called to take this job. And I spent the next 2.5 years building the newsroom in America Online. I had no idea what I was doing. And trust me, when you get into your first job, second job, third job, you're not going to have any idea what you do. You're going to go in there and you're like, okay, so the best advice I can give you, say you know what you're doing, come home every night, and learn how to do it. No one expects you to be brilliant when you come in, but having an attitude that says, you know what, I'll figure it out, I'll hire someone who says, I'll figure it out, over someone who says, I don't know how to do it any day. Because if you tell me that you're going to figure it out, chances are, I'm going to believe you and I'm going to want to hire you. And if you prove it to me, I'll keep hiring you for every job I do. So, I worked at AOL for a few years, and I came back to New York, and I had no money. I was living in a studio apartment. It's like the size of like you. And it was the summer of 1998. And there was a big film that came out in 1998. You remember what the biggest film in 98 was? It started a boat. It started a boat. Titanic. She got it. Remember, everywhere you looked in Times Square and all around the city, you saw signs, buy Titanic on video, get it here, buy it, go see it. And like girls like crying on MTV, I saw it 30 times. Really? So, I had this idea, right? My parents told me I was crazy for doing this, but I had this idea. That I hated the movie. And I had this idea that someone else, there had to be other people like me who hated that movie too. Anyone hate that movie?
I love it.
Big Kate Winslet fan over there? All right. So, I hated that movie. So I went to Times Square. I took my rent money. I had $1,600. That was all the money I had in the world. That was my entire rent money. And I had 500 t-shirts printed up. And the t-shirts read, "It sank. Get over it." And I went to Times Square and I figured if I could sell 180 shirts at $10 a piece, I'd make my rent money back and make a few extra dollars so I could have like dinner. And if that didn't work, I was moving back into my parents' basement. I was homeless. And I figured it would take about a week to sell these shirts. And everyone said, dude, you're crazy. What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? I've never thought like that. And I encourage you not to think like that. The best ideas that you'll ever have in your life won't matter if you're too scared to implement. when you have a crazy idea, usually what happens is that you tell it to a friend, you tell it to someone you care about, you tell it, and oh, that's stupid, that'll never work. And you listen to them. Let me tell you something. You're going to have haters. If you come up with crazy ideas, you're going to have haters. Anyone who has a hater is a friend of mine. If you don't have haters, you're not doing enough to be different. And the different people are the ones who are out there ruling the world. The different people, the ones who think they're crazy now, the ones who get made fun of, the ones who get lots of crap from all their friends, those are the ones who are crazy enough to rule the world. So I went out with this idea for this t-shirt, right? I'm like, okay, if it doesn't work, I'm sleeping in my parents' basement. And I really didn't want to do that. Went on a Friday night, I figured it would take about a week to sell 180 shirts. I figured the rest I could just give away if I couldn't make any money. I sold 500 shirts in 6 hours in Times Square. I made $5 grand. I came home, threw the money up in the air, laughed all weekend. And it was sort of, you're going to have those moments where you're like, I was right, you were wrong. It's the greatest feeling in the world. And I figured that that was it. I figured I made $5 grand, great. But I did one extra thing. I called the reporter. I called the reporter I knew at USA Today. And I told her what I did, because I thought maybe she'd find it funny. And she said to me, remember I told you earlier that if you don't know what you're doing, just fake it? She said to me, so, wow, that was a great story. So, are you selling them on the web now? And I put the phone in my ear and went, of course I am. Yep, that's what I'm doing. And I built the worst website you've ever seen in your life. I had no idea how to code. I was making this crap up as I went along. It was like, buy shirt, click. You click to send me an email. I'd send you my address. You'd mail me a check. It was the worst website ever. But I built it. And I said, yeah, sell them on. I said, okay, we'll see what we can do. And I forgot about it. Because, as I'm sure a lot of you guys heard, you know, ADHD? I have something a lot worse. I have something called ADOS.
What's that?
ADOS stands for Attention Deficit. Ooh, shiny. And that's a lot worse. Anyone ever seen the movie Up? Yeah. I'm the dog. Okay? I'll be sitting there.